I'm Simon, this is Maxim RGB. Hi there, today I'm going to take you through this slightly over the top digital makeover. If we look at this picture and we have a glance down here at the layers palette, you can see all these multiple layers I've used to create this finished article. If I hold the Alt key down and click on the eye icon on the background layer, you see the original background. And if we hold the Alt key down and click on it again, it turns all the long layers on and there's your finished article. So the original picture and the finished article. Yes, it's fairly over the top, and having said that, many of the little ideas in here are things that you could tone down considerably and use in a more moderate fashion on regular portrait retouching. This is not a lecture in ethics, so it's entirely up to you how far you want to go in your own work. So one more time, that's the original picture and there's the finished article. Just taking you through the finished article layer by layer, just very quickly. So it's, if we look down at the bottom here, we have the layer that I call the Botox lips layer. So that's on and off and on and off. What I've really done there, I think, is just extend the makeup out from this rather small shaped lip to the full lips that she actually has. Then we have a layer here that I call skin cloning, which is a basic sort of skin scrub to get rid of the majority of the skin blemishes. And then we have the layer that is extremely useful little trick and can be used mildly on many a portrait, which is what I call the softened skin layer, which is effectively this layer here is effectively a sum layer, a merge layer of all the layers underneath, the three layers underneath, and it's basically just blurred. It's just a blur layer with a mask that you can see there, a very crude mask that reveals the blur in the white areas and conceals the blur in the black areas. So that's the skin softening. Then we have what I call Gaussian blusher. So it's basically a solid color layer there, which with another mask again, if you can see that just faintly revealed on the high cheekbone. So that's just adding a little color to her cheek with some blusher. Then we have some slight darkening to the eyebrows, that's off and on. Then we have a little bit of eyeliner, which is actually very subtle. I can just turn it up because just turn it up a little bit there in the layers, in the opacity of the layer. There we go, that's better. So there you got off and on. And we've got some eyelashes, that's on and off and on. And then we've got some lip gloss, pink lip gloss. Then we've got a layer there which just helps clean up the whites in the eyes a little bit, make them a little less bloodshot. And then we have some blue to boost up the colouring in the eyes, some sort of funky coloured contact lenses if you like. And then we have something called a soft light merge there, which is just an overall merge layer again, which is set to a blending mode, soft light blending mode, you can see there. And then we have a digital dodge and burn layer to just control the lightness and darkness in various areas of the image, so darken around the edges a little bit, down the bottom right hand corner in particular, and then a layer just the final curves over the whole thing to give everything a little bit of a lift. So one more time, we've got the original and the finished. Okay, so I'm going to take you now over to a copy of this file with just the background there, the original picture with just the background there. I'm going to work through each layer one by one. We're going to move on this fairly quickly, but I will try and explain as much as possible. So first up are the lips. I'm just going to make a copy, a very generous copy of the lip area like that using the marquee tool. So we've got the marching ants. We're going to edit copy, which is Command C on the Mac or Control C on the PC. Command C to copy and Command V to paste. That brings the lips up on a new layer. We'll just call that Botox lips over there. Botox lips. Okay. Renaming layers as you go. Okay. One thing that helps a little bit here, we're going to stretch these lips out, and what helps a little bit is if we bring the rulers out, so view menu, rulers, and then we can pull out a guide, and using the guides is not part of the image, it's just a guide to help us understand how big we want to get the lips to be. We want to drag them out to about there. Okay. Next up, we're going to transform the lips. We go edit menu, scale. Okay, and then we can just stretch the lips out to our new guidelines. You see, I wanted the edge there to come to there and to come to there, so that should do us just exactly like that. That's looking good. All right, we hit the enter key or the tick box up here. That applies that transformation, and we can see the new stretched out lips. All we need to do now is add a layer mask to hide the excess bits around the edge. Adding a layer mask down here is a shortcut in the layers palette. Okay, or the long cut, if you like, the original way would be layer menu, layer mask, reveal all. Let's do it that way. Layer mask, reveal all. That adds a layer mask to our layer, and then we're going to just get a black brush and hide what we don't need. Let's get rid of those rulers now and the extras which hide the guidelines. That's it. And then we get the brush, making sure it's soft. Take the hardness off the brush, and it's going to paint with the foreground colour, which is indeed on black. So there we go. The open and close brackets to make the brush bigger or smaller. Open and close brackets. That's the square brackets, I should say, on the keyboard. So here we go. We're just going to work around here, and this hides all this excess flesh that we're not using from the duplicate layer. Some people you might be thinking, well, why don't you just delete it? Well, this is just the whole point here is to just demo the usefulness of layer masks for one thing, and I don't like deleting things. I like to hide them. If I make a mistake, I can just go back to revealing it with a white brush, and you'll see lots of good reasons for using the layer masks as we go along. Okay, how does that work? Okay, I think we could have gone much bigger actually with the lips. I'm going to extend that a little bit more. We're going to go back to Command T, and we're going to drag this a little bit bigger. Yeah, let's take it out to about there. Haven't got my guidelines now. Oh well, there we go. How's that? It's working nice. I like that. That's good. A little bit more brush work around the edge. Okay, good. Zoom out, take a look. No. Yep. Okay, that's great. So next up, we're going to put a new empty layer in there. Shortcut down here in the bottom of the layers palette, and we're going to call this skin spots. Okay, and we're going to use retouch tools such as the spot healing brush and maybe a little bit of the clone stamp as well. So with the spot healing brush, you need to make sure it says sample all layers, that's ticked at the top there, and then we're going to just go around here and just take out the worst of the skin blemishes, the spots, and there's a hole there from her nose ring piercing spot. Okay. Do this quite quickly, so you might want to spend a little bit more time. Just take out the worst blemishes over here. There we go. Oh, made a couple of mistakes. Go undo the last couple of moves. There we go. History palette. Zoom in a little bit. Bit tricky around here with the chin. I think this might work better with the clone stamp. Shortcut S there to the clone stamp tool, making sure that is soft, all the hardness is off. Again, you've got to make sure sample, current layer and below, and Alt key down to sample, and that's too dark. Let's undo that. Apple Z to undo. What can we do here? We can, yep, maybe Apple Z to undo. Don't like it again. If it's stamping too hard, that's better. There we go. Undo. One thing you can do is reduce the opacity of the brush so it doesn't stamp quite so heavily. So if we go down to about 50–60%, that's good. That blends it in a bit nicer there. There we go. And there's a little kink over here. just drop that in like that. That's going to do for now. That's going to do for now. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Oh, no. Right, over here we need to get rid of her birth mole here as well. A little bit of a tricky spot. A little bit of clone stamping. Careful clone stamping. We should better get in there. Doesn't have to be entirely perfect, this. Let's see how the spot healing goes, because we're going to blur this up later on. Okay, that's good. You'll notice I used the spot healing tool. I like to create a kind of elliptical shape with that, and you can change the direction of it as well. It just seems, it increases the surface area around the edges of the brush and it seems to do a better job. Okay, that's going to do for now. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So there we have the worst of the spots taken out. Guess we could just try and take that highlight off her nose there. There we go. Good. Okay, next up we're going to do the skin softening, the blur layer. Basically it's a blur really. And to do that we need a copy layer of the sort of sum of the parts underneath. So we need the background layer with the retouch skin spots and the Botox lips as well. There are various shortcuts to doing this, but I'm going to just show you the way it's kind of easy to understand. So we select the whole canvas. Let's select all, and then we go edit and copy merged. Not just copy, but copy merged. Copy merged means it's going to copy everything underneath here. So the background with everything else merged together as well. Copy merged. We then go edit and paste. And you'll see now I've got a new layer here sitting at top, and if I turn that layer on and off, we don't see anything change because this layer is exactly the same as the sum of all the layers underneath. We don't see any change at this point. We will, however, rename it again, so double click on the layer 1 and we call this Skin Smooth. Smoothing even. Okay. So essentially what we're going to do is blur, and there are various different ways you can do this. The base blur is always the filter menu blur and Gaussian blur. That is the most sort of primal blur. Anything with Gaussian blur is it blurs everything. I'll just show you. If we go and blur that, oh, not so strongly, but you'll see what's happening here is it's blurring like her skin is blurring into the background and blurring into the jacket, stuff like that. So there are a couple of other tools which blur with and have a little bit more respect for edges. One of them would be surface blur. People quite often try that one. And there's another one in the noise menu called median blur, which I happen to prefer for this. So filter menu, noise and median. Okay, so you'll see there it's blurring everything quite heavily, but it keeps this nice sharp line around the edge of her face as well. So we're going to blur this, we're going to blur it over the top. It's fine to blur it over the top. You'll see why in a moment when we can settle that down by reducing the opacity. So I've gone for, let's say, number 12 there, around about radius of number 12. We apply the OK. And now, because you'll see if I turn it off, that's the original. If I turn it on, that's the blur, the skin smoothing. What we do is we go to the opacity of that layer and we just drop it down so that it's, we reduce the opacity of the blur and therefore revealing the original sharp layers underneath, and we have this effect of just taking some of the harshness off, just adding a little blur to the skin. Okay, now we can come back and adjust this, fine tune this later on. For the moment, just leave it around 40–50%. Should do this. Now what we're going to do is use a layer mask to hide the stuff that we don't want blurred. So what we want blurred is just the skin areas, but we don't want to blur her eyes, we don't want to blur her lips, we don't want to blur anything really other than just the skin around most of her face. So very quickly, again, jumping to the bottom of the layers palette. Down here is a shortcut for the layer mask. That's that one there. The original layer mask is layer, layer mask. Okay. And then reveal all will give you a white layer mask, hide all would give you a black layer mask. Let's go back to the shortcut down here, there. click on there, we get a layer mask pop up over here. Great, that's a hide all, sorry, it's a reveal all white layer mask, so it's not hiding anything at the moment. What we're going to do is just get ourselves a brush from over here. We're going to make sure that the brush is completely soft and an appropriate size. So the size we're going to change as we go along. So we're just going to hide where we don't want the blur. So we don't want her eyes blurred, so we're just going to paint over her eyes. We don't want her hair blur, we don't want anything around here, so we can get a nice big brush and just go all around the edge and hide everything. Just go around here, hide everything. We want all this to stay sharp. Okay, and that's pretty much it. We can then zoom in and make the brush much smaller. Open bracket, open square bracket. And we'll just paint in here to keep her lips sharp. Like so. Thumb down on the spacebar to get the hand tool to move around. Let's just go around her eyes a little bit more. Maybe a little bit of sharpness back into the eyebrows. Okay. And sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of sharpness back in the nose as well, because that's going to look a bit weird when it's all blurry. So one thing you can do again is you could reduce the opacity of the brush here. So rather than painting black full on, it's kind of painting 50% black, looks like a grey, to bring a little bit of sharpness back to some area of the nose. Like that can work quite well. If you want to look at the mask, hold the Alt key down, click on the mask. You'll see what we got. Oh, I've missed a few bits, so right around the very edges there. So bringing the mask back up to 100% and making the brush bigger, we could just paint in these edges because I want everything sharp. Set to skin. There we go. Okay. Good. You can see the greyness in the nose there, where I've just half hidden with the layer mask instead of completely hidden. Alt key down, click on the mask again, and we've got the finished effect. Now, after you've created the mask, you might want to either adjust the opacity of the blur layer. So you might want to make it stronger. You can mix it. Mix to taste is the idea there. Moving on now. So what we're going to do first of all is just darken the eyebrows a little bit. We're going to do that using a curves layer adjustment with a mask. So we go curves here. And with the curves layer, we're just going to drop the black point a little bit over to the right. So darkening everything in the image first of all, just making the blacks more black. Like so. Okay, put that away, and then clicking on the mask. If we're going to invert it, that mask is like an image. It's a white image at the moment. If we invert it, it will become black. So that would be Image Menu Adjustments Invert. The shortcut is Command I. Okay, so that makes the mask into a black mask, so the whole of the curve gets hidden, and you can't see if you turn it on or off. Nothing's happening. What I can do then is just paint in with a white brush. Nice and soft, brush there in white, small brush. I could just paint into the, oh, I'm in the eraser. So brush tool, nice and small, completely soft, yeah, and small and painting in white. And we can just paint into the mask to reveal the eyebrows, like so. Okay, zooming out, and then as we see, that makes the eyebrows darker. Now, rather too heavily, let's have a quick look at the mask. We've got, hold the Alt key down, click on the mask, like that. Now, it's a little bit too strong and crude, so we're going to drop the opacity of that layer as well to about halfway. There we go, it just looks like a little bit of eyebrow pencil, if that's what you call it. I'm no actual makeup artist, you may notice. Here we go, there we go, that's good. Great. Next we're going to put some pink or red pink blusher on her cheeks. We're going to use a solid colour layer down here in the layers palette again, shortcut to the adjustment layers and to the solid colour layer at the top. So we get solid colour layer and we just choose something fairly random. Let's go with a pink, shall we? Random for now, we can always change it later. So we choose pink and we go OK. And what we're going to do there is we're going to click on the mask again, and we should go Command I on the Mac or Control I on the PC. That turns the mask into black, so it hides the pink layer. And then we're going to get a soft brush over here, completely soft and largest, and we're going to punch a hole in that mask around like that. Okay, to reveal some pink. And then there's a couple of things we do. Obviously that looks crazy right now. Now, we can reduce the opacity right down, which is basically the main thing we're going to do. If we reduce the opacity right down, then it blends it right in and we can see through that pink, so it's just faintly coming up just enough. Now the other thing that might work, sometimes works, don't know if it will in this particular case, but sometimes it's good to drop the blending mode of that layer over to colour. We'll drop that to colour and then drop the opacity. When you do that, the idea is you see the colour but you still see the tonality of the shape below. In theory that should work best, but it doesn't always give us the correct effect here. I think it is going to actually, yeah, it's nice. You can still see the shape. So a combination of the color blending mode and the opacity in the menu, in the layers palette. Obviously, because we've got a mask there, we can change the shape of the mask by switching between black and white. The shortcut for the switching between the foreground and the background color is X on the keyboard. So if I paint in white, I reveal more pink area. Yeah, Apple Z. If I paint in black, X on the keyboard, then I remove the blusher. So white to add and pink to hide. Sorry, white to reveal and black to conceal. Not pink. Pink is what we're doing on there. Okay. Good. You can always come back and play with this later on. Still quite strong, so dropping the opacity down even more to make it a little bit more subtle. There we go, a little bit of colour. Excellent, so what's next? Okay, now we're going to do the real major cheats in this picture. We're going to use a couple of really crude techniques to add some eyeliner and some mascara. So new empty layer in the layers palette down here. We're going to call this eyeliner. And what I'm going to do, unbelievably, is we're just going to paint in some black with a very, very small brush, 4 pixel brush. Okay, there we go. Now I'm using a Wacom tablet here, it makes it slightly easier, I have to admit. Still not happy with that. One more time. This kind of thing is a little tricky with the mouse. Still possible though. There we go. So there we go. There's the eyeliner. It looks ridiculous. Go to the opacity layer of that menu and drop the opacity right down. Okay, there we go. So I'm down to about 7% opacity. And if you zoom out and have a look at that, that's without, and with just adds a little bit there. We can probably go a bit more. Yeah, how about that? 16% now. You can see it nice and clearly. Okay, there we go. If we've gone too far, of course, over here, we could always erase the eraser. I think that didn't need to be there. Maybe there as well. Excellent. Good, so that's the eyeliner, and we're going to do the same kind of thing for her eyelashes. So another new layer, and we'll call that mascara, or eyelashes. Let's call it eyelashes. Eyelashes, and zooming in, same thing. We're going to get the brush, very small brush, 2 or 3 pixels I would have thought, just guessing here. So 2 pixels, see if that works. And we're just going to paint in some crazy eyelashes. I'm sort of loosely just going over her actual real eyelashes that she has, but I'm happy to add in a few extra ones as well. Okay, there we go. And then over to the layers palette, drop the opacity down, way down, 10% or so. See if that's doing it. Obviously, you can just play around with the opacity depending on what kind of look you want. There we go, a little bit scary, but doing the job. Okay, so there we have it. We've got some blusher, some eyeliner and some mascara. What do we need to do now? Right, the lips. Okay, the lips. So let's do a little bit of lip colouring here. So anything that changes colour really, you can give it a go. It just depends on what's in the original colour. We might be playing with the, we're going to pull out another adjustment layer. We could be playing with hue and saturation, possibly channel mixer might work, colour balance even. Let's try hue and saturation. It's fairly brutal, but tends to do the job. So go hue saturation. This is going to affect everything first of all. Maybe the master channel on the reds perhaps, to see if we affect the reds the most. Yeah, we can turn our lips into green over there, or pink down here, or kind of, yeah, quite purple, pinky. So let's go down there to pink. There we go. Obviously that's affecting everything. There's the mask, there's the hue and saturation mask. Command I on the Mac, inverts it to black, zoom in, get a brush, again soft brush. We need it to be bigger this time. Soft brush in white to reveal the lip area. There we go. Okay, very full on, very strong. Can also always double click this and change. If you want to reduce the opacity there, can change the color or change the overall color. Various things we could do, or we could change the opacity on the actual layer as well. But you get the idea. Okay, there we can reduce the opacity down if we want less of it, and we can use, there we go, that's kind of not too bad. All right, lovely. Now we're going to deal with the eyes. And I'm going to do a couple of things. We're going to add some more blue. We're going to clean up the whites as well. So let's deal with the whites first of all. First of all, the eye whites. I'm going to use another hue and saturation layer here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the reds here, and I'm going to reduce the saturation. And that should take some of the redness out of the eyes. Again, we're affecting everything initially. Then we're going to come back for the mask. So that takes out some of the redness, and we can also maybe add a little bit of lightness in here as well. This should lighten things up. So there we go, let's try that. So we've got cleaning up the eye whites. We'll call this eye whites. And making sure we're clicking on the mask, we go Command I again to turn it into black, and we get a white brush, a soft white brush, and we can just paint in here. Now this initially is looking like it's gone a bit blue. Alright, so that is looking a little bit blue. We'll double click in here, we'll go back to that reds layer. I think it just means I've reduced the red opacity just too much there, which is the saturation of the red taken down too low, so that's better like that. Okay, there we go, that's the redness nice and gone. Maybe we could take the lightness up a little bit. Take it up overall, there we go, yeah, lift it a little bit, there, tiny bit. Okay. So back into the mask, let's finish the work here. So that eye and this eye. It is a bit blue. Maybe we need to reduce the overall saturation, or in the blues. Try in the blues maybe. Perhaps there's blue in there. Go to blue. Reduce the opaque. Yeah, that helps a little bit as well. And the master channel even. Good, let's have a look. Yep, that's helping quite a bit. It's a little bit overall too strong. She looks a little bit like some kind of a scary monster zombie thing. So we'll again just drop the opacity down of the whole layer and get it to blend in and look a little bit more realistic. There we go. Okay, I think I could continue working on that a little bit, but that'll do us for now. Good, excellent. The The blues in the eyes. We're going to add colour. We're going to use another solid colour layer here. Now with eye colour, you'll see eyes are pretty random. The colour occurs in different places. We need to create a mask that just reveals in the blue areas. And we're going to do this slightly differently. We're going to make a selection of the blue area first of all, and then create a layer an adjustment layer. So I'm going to use a magic wand to try and pick out bits of the blue in here. To do that, I need to click onto the background layer because the magic wand searches for pixels like pixels I click on. So let's click on the background layer, magic wand, and tolerance should be 32 is the default. Try that. So we're just going to click in here. Oh, 32 is too big. Let's try 15. Let's try that. So clicking on there we go. We're picking up the blue, and we can hold the shift key down to add a bit more blue and a bit more blue. Too much. Maybe bring this down to 10. So it's just spreading around too much. Let's try that again. So yeah, we just want to pick up a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. So hold the shift key down to jump in there. Maybe even 5, you know. Let's put that on 5. Try the other eye. Holding the shift key down. Yeah, I think I quite like that. Build it up a bit more slowly. Then I can be a little bit more random. Okay, let's choose some blue. Now we can always adjust this later on, but it gives us a good starting point and demonstrates a different approach to creating a mask. So I've got couple of little selections of the blue areas in her eyes, and what I'm going to do now is go to the solid color adjustment layer down here again. This time we're going to pick up a blue, click over here for the blues, a nice light blue somewhere like that, and apply that. Now there we have it. There we've got the mask. Because I had an active selection, when I created an adjustment layer, it built a mask based on that adjustment layer. Hold the Alt key down, click on the mask, you'll see my eye colour revealed in the mask there. Now, because I was still on the background, it's popped this layer in right at the bottom of the stack, which is not where I wanted it. I wanted it at the top of the stack. So we're going to click on that and drag it to the top over there. That's better. And then we're going to call this eye colour. Okay, and then we're going to see what happens if we can get this to drop in the opacity right down again, like so. See if that works for us. There it comes back. It's still looking pretty unrealistic at the moment. We could check out the color blending mode. This doesn't always help us. Yeah, it is helping us. Usually does help us, but I've got to be a bit cautious. So blue color blending mode. So layers palette, color blending mode. And if I think it should be a bit lighter or something like that, we could double click and adjust the colour, so maybe bring it over to be a bit more lighter, see if that helps even more so maybe. Here we go. Good. That's looking pretty good. Just play around and see what works. That's it. I'm happy with that. Okay, so we're getting there now. Let's have a quick look at where we've come from. So we've got, if we hold the Alt key down, click on the background eye icon again, you've got the original and then everything back on. And we're looking better and better all the time. Okay. So, last few finishing little touches. So, I'm going to use something called a soft light layer first of all. This is pretty cool. We're going to need a new summation layer, a layer that is a summation, a merge copy of everything we've got underneath. A merge copy of everything we've got underneath. So what we do again is we go select all, Command A on the keyboard, go back to our edit menu, and we go edit copy merged over there. Copy merged and then edit paste. There we go, we've got a copy of it at the top. Now this is just a little trick which is real handy. If you go to the layers palette there, and in the top of the layers palette, the blending mode where it says normal, we drop this down and we bring it down to soft light. Whoa, soft light. So this blending mode just controls how this layer here blends in with all the layers underneath. And in soft light, it just does this incredible effect of giving it a kind of soft light. It's basically increasing contrast really and a bit of saturation. Now it is too strong, so we drop the opacity down. If we get that down to a workable place, You see that's just quite nice. It just makes everything look quite polished. That's nice. And then I had a, well, I'll rename that, call that soft light. Bit of digital dodge and burn perhaps, just in order to demonstrate it. So we'll use a curves layer. We'll do a bit of burning is what I'm doing really. I'm bringing burning where I'm just making various parts of the image a bit darker. So drag the curve down to darken in the blacks and in the midtones. And invert the layer mask and then get a nice big soft brush in white to reveal it. So all I'm doing is just darkening things a little bit down here. Like so. Turn it on and off. Yeah, I kind of prefer that. It just gives it a little bit of extra depth, doesn't it? A bit more down here. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. There we go. A bit of digital burning in the corner. And maybe a little bit over here as well. Maybe that's too extreme. It's too extreme. Undo. But if I drop the opacity of the brush down again to about 60%, and I can bring it in a little bit over there. There we have it. And drop the opacity of the overall thing. We've got a little bit of digital dodging burning over there. That's nice. And one final little tweak would be another curves layer, just to lift everything up a little bit more. And you could even add a tiny little bit more contrast to the whole thing. So final curves, finishing curves. And then we have it. I think I covered everything that I had in the original one. Let's take a look at the background layer again. Hold the Alt key down, click on the background, before and after, before and after, before and after now. That's all for now. Thank you very, very much for watching and see you again soon. Bye for now.